Theft of £1 billion worth of jewels shakes Germany and the world in what is being dubbed one of the most audacious and high-value thefts in modern history. Thieves made off with nearly £1 billion worth of rare diamonds, gemstones, and royal jewelry from the Green Vault Museum in Dresden, Germany. The incident has not only shocked the nation but also raised serious concerns about the vulnerability of even the most secure cultural institutions. The heist took place at the historic Green Vault, Grünes Gewölbe, one of the oldest museums in Europe, located within the Dresden Royal Palace. Founded in 1723 by Augustus the Strong, Elector of Saxony, the museum houses one of the world's most valuable treasure collections. The stolen pieces are irreplaceable, not only because of their monetary value, but also due to their deep historical and artistic significance. A breach in an impenetrable fortress. The Green Vault was long considered one of the most secure places in Europe, often compared to the United States' Fort Knox. With advanced alarm systems, reinforced glass, steel bars, and 24/7 surveillance, the museum's security protocols were thought to be nearly foolproof. However, in the early hours of the morning, two masked intruders managed to penetrate these defenses. According to authorities, the thieves cut through iron window grills to gain access to the museum. They then used an axe or similar tool to smash display cases, grabbing an assortment of royal jewels and fleeing the scene within minutes. The heist was swift and efficient, demonstrating professional planning and execution. CCTV footage showed the perpetrators' faces covered, making immediate identification impossible. To aid their getaway, the criminals reportedly disabled nearby streetlights by setting a fire in an electrical distribution box. This blackout allowed them to escape into the night with minimal visibility for any witnesses or surveillance. Priceless losses. Among the stolen treasures were items from the 18th century collection of Saxony's ruling dynasty. These included intricately crafted brooches, buttons, swords, and ornaments, adorned with diamonds, sapphires, emeralds, and rubies. One of the most prominent missing pieces is said to be a diamond-encrusted sword belonging to Augustus the Strong himself. Experts have emphasized that the true loss cannot be measured in currency alone. These artifacts represent a tangible connection to European history and craftsmanship. Each piece was not only made from rare gems and precious metals, but also told a story of royal lineage, political alliances, and centuries of cultural development. Art historians fear that the items may never be recovered. Unlike paintings or sculptures, which are often too distinct to sell easily, jewels can be broken down, recut, and sold on the black market without a trace of their origin. International concern and investigation. The theft has triggered a large-scale investigation involving local police, federal authorities, and even international law enforcement agencies like Interpol. Experts believe the sophistication of the crime points toward a well-organized criminal network rather than an isolated group of amateurs. Authorities are also exploring possible links to a similar theft in 2017 at Berlin's Bode Museum, where a 100-kilogram solid gold coin, valued at £3.5 million, was stolen. Investigators have drawn parallels between the two heists in terms of timing, planning, and method. So far, several suspects have been identified, and some arrests have been made in connection to the crime, but much of the stolen treasure remains missing. The police have issued public appeals, asking anyone with information or suspicious knowledge about the jewels' whereabouts to come forward. A wake-up call for museums worldwide. This heist serves as a stark reminder that even the most protected sites are not immune to theft. Museums and cultural institutions across the globe are now re-evaluating their security systems and emergency protocols. Some have begun investing in AI-powered surveillance, biometric access systems, and improved disaster response planning. Meanwhile, curators, historians, and the general public are mourning the loss of priceless heritage. The Green Vault has temporarily closed for a comprehensive review of its security measures, with promises of stronger protections for what remains of its treasured collection. As the investigation continues, the world watches in anticipation, hoping for the safe recovery of these irreplaceable artifacts and for justice to be served in what will be remembered as one of the boldest museum heists in modern history. Top-level security breached the Green Vault. Heist exposes the fragility of even the world's most secure systems. In an event that has stunned security experts and law enforcement agencies worldwide, the Green Vault Museum in Dresden, Germany, once considered more secure than even Fort Knox, fell victim to a meticulously planned and executed heist. Thieves made off with nearly £1 billion worth of historic jewels and artifacts, proving that no matter how advanced a system may appear, it is never truly invulnerable. The Green Vault, or Grünsgewölbe, is not just any museum. Located inside the Dresden Royal Palace, this centuries-old institution housed one of Europe's most precious collections of royal jewels, ornaments, and historic artifacts. With its cutting-edge security systems, 24/7 surveillance, and reinforced architecture, it had built a reputation as an impenetrable fortress, until that fateful night in November 2019. A reputation built on security. The Green Vault's security was often compared to, and in some ways considered superior to, the legendary Fort Knox in the United States, the U.S. Army facility known for safeguarding the country's gold reserves. Like Fort Knox, the Green Vault was protected by state-of-the-art alarms, steel-reinforced doors, motion detectors, and armored display cases. Visitors passed through multiple checkpoints, and the building was monitored day and night by guards and surveillance cameras. The museum's designers took every possible precaution to protect what was not only monetarily valuable, but also culturally and historically priceless. Yet, what was believed to be near impenetrable proved fatally flawed when two burglars broke in and pulled off one of the most significant museum heists in history. How did it happen? On the night of the theft, the perpetrators initiated their plan by disabling the street lighting around the palace complex. Police later discovered that a fire had been deliberately set at a nearby power box, plunging the area into darkness and cutting off the external power supply. With the cover of night and a blackout in place, the thieves approached a small, barred window on the side of the museum. Using tools, including an axe, they broke through the iron bars and shattered the window. From there, they gained access to the jewel room, the heart of the Green Vault's collection. Despite the presence of motion sensors and security personnel, the thieves managed to smash several display cases, steal dozens of pieces, and flee the scene, all in under 5 minutes. It was a shockingly quick and effective breach, leaving authorities scrambling for answers. Weak points in a fortress security analysts have since dissected the event to understand how such a secure facility was so easily compromised. It became apparent that while the museum had strong infrastructure and modern technology, several oversights were exploited. 1. Dependence on external power. The fire that caused the blackout rendered certain security systems, such as external lights and possibly parts of the surveillance network, temporarily inactive. 2. Human delay in response. Though alarms were triggered, the response time of the on-site security team and police was not swift enough to prevent the escape. 3. Blind spots in surveillance. CCTV captured the thieves' actions, but their covered faces and rapid movements prevented immediate identification. Moreover, no cameras seemed to capture their escape route in full detail. 4th, assumptions of infallibility. The reputation of the Green Vault as a secure facility may have led to a false sense of confidence, potentially leading to lapses in reviewing or upgrading certain protocols. A wake-up call for global institutions. The Green Vault heist has become a case study in modern security failure. Experts around the world have used this example to emphasize that no security system is foolproof, and overconfidence can be dangerous. Since the heist, many museums and heritage sites have conducted internal reviews of their own systems. There's been a growing shift toward integrating more resilient and layered defenses, including independent power backups, AI-driven surveillance with facial recognition, biometric access controls, and real-time law enforcement coordination systems. Furthermore, the heist raised philosophical questions about the balance between public access and security. Should historic treasures be displayed if their protection cannot be guaranteed? Or should they be stored away from public view, for the sake of safety? Conclusion. The breach of the Green Vault was not just a theft, it was a symbolic strike against the illusion of absolute security. Despite its reputation and infrastructure, the museum fell victim to a carefully calculated operation that exposed vulnerabilities others had overlooked. As investigations continue, and some suspects face prosecution, the stolen treasures remain largely unrecovered, and the world watches closely, reminded that even the most fortified institutions must evolve constantly, or risk becoming the next headline in a story of failure. Well-planned execution by thieves. How two masked burglars outsmarted a world-class security system in minutes. In the early hours of a cold November morning in 2019, the silence of Dresden's historic palace complex was shattered, not by an alarm or police siren, but by the deliberate, sharp impact of an axe against glass. Within a span of just a few minutes, two masked individuals pulled off one of the most daring museum heists in modern European history, making off with jewels worth nearly £1 billion. The speed, precision, and daring of their actions left authorities and the public stunned. The target of this meticulously planned operation was the Green Vault, Grünes Gewölbe, a museum renowned not only for its priceless 18th century treasures, but also for its formidable security. Located inside the Dresden Royal Palace, the Green Vault housed some of Europe's most precious royal artifacts, many of them belonging to the historic Saxon monarchy, the break-in, swift and silent. According to investigators, the burglars began their operation by first disabling a nearby electrical junction box, triggering a power outage that plunged the surrounding area into darkness. This clever maneuver eliminated street lighting and may have interfered with some external security systems, giving the thieves the cover they needed. Moments later, the pair approached a ground-floor window of the museum. Despite the building's reinforced defenses, they found a vulnerability, a barred window that they managed to breach using tools, including an axe. After removing or bending the iron bars, they broke through the window glass, entering the museum with chilling confidence, the smash and grab. Once inside, the burglars headed straight to the jewel room, seemingly aware of the layout and the location of their high-value targets. Surveillance footage later revealed the calculated nature of their movements. They did not waste time inspecting displays. They knew exactly where to go and what to take armed with the axe. One of the men shattered the glass display cases, while the other grabbed the jewels. Within 4 to 5 minutes, they had seized an array of priceless items, diamond-encrusted brooches, buttons, sword hilts, and other ornate pieces from the 18th century. These treasures, though small in size, were of immense historical and monetary value. The CCTV footage, although unable to identify the masked individuals, confirmed their professionalism. Their actions were synchronized and efficient, suggesting they had rehearsed or studied the operation in advance. There was no fumbling, no unnecessary detours, only direct, decisive movements. The escape after gathering their loot, the burglars exited through the same window they entered, disappearing into the darkness. Outside, a getaway car was waiting. The vehicle, later found burned and abandoned, indicates that the criminals had taken careful steps to cover their tracks and prevent forensic identification. Despite the triggered alarms, the response time of on-site security and local police was not quick enough to catch the perpetrators in action. By the time authorities arrived, the thieves were long gone. Not an amateur job law enforcement officials quickly ruled out the possibility that this was a crime of opportunity or the work of common thieves. The entire operation bore the hallmarks of a professional gang. Everything, from the disabling of power to the knowledge of security blind spots and the targeted selection of valuables, pointed to detailed pre-planning. Experts believe the criminals had prior knowledge of the museum's layout, security systems, and response protocols. There's even speculation that the gang may have conducted reconnaissance visits, possibly posing as tourists to study the premises. A chilling reminder. The Green Vault heist is a powerful reminder that even the most secure institutions are vulnerable to human ingenuity and planning. The fact that two individuals, using basic tools like an axe and with only minutes to act, could steal royal treasures from a world-renowned museum has left cultural institutions around the globe rethinking their own security frameworks. The burglars may have vanished into the night, but their precision, speed, and daring continue to haunt both the museum and the investigators tasked with finding them. Jewels of great historical significance, beyond wealth, the irreplaceable legacy stolen from Dresden's Green Vault. When thieves broke into the Green Vault Museum in Dresden in November 2019 and stole jewels worth nearly £1 billion, the headlines focused on the staggering monetary loss. But to historians, curators, and cultural heritage experts, the real tragedy lay in the loss of priceless artifacts deeply embedded in European history. These were not just objects of luxury, they were treasured links to a royal past, painstakingly preserved over centuries. The stolen items, most of which belonged to the royal house of Saxony, dated back to the 18th century. They had survived wars, political upheavals, and the passage of time, only to be taken in a matter of minutes during one of the most audacious museum heists in recent history. A royal legacy in gemstones. At the center of the theft were jewels collected by Augustus the Strong, Elector of Saxony, and King of Poland. A man of grand ambitions and extravagant tastes, Augustus was one of the most powerful rulers in Central Europe during his time. In 1723, he founded the Green Vault, Grünes Gewölbe, in Dresden, as a space to exhibit his incredible collection of treasures, not to store them in secrecy, but to share them with the world as a symbol of wealth, power, and refined taste. The stolen items included brooches, buttons, necklaces, sword hilts, and hat ornaments, all lavishly decorated with diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and sapphires. Each item was not just a piece of jewelry, but a masterwork of 18th century craftsmanship. Many were handcrafted by European jewelers of the Baroque period, whose intricate techniques and artistic vision are almost impossible to replicate today. Cultural and artistic loss. While the financial valuation of the heist is astounding, estimated at nearly £1 billion, the true value of the artifacts lies in their historical and artistic importance. Each piece told a story, not just of royalty, but of political alliances, social customs, and the skilled artisans of the time. These items served as ceremonial regalia, diplomatic gifts, and symbols of prestige during one of Europe's most artistically vibrant eras. For example, one of the stolen sword hilts was set with hundreds of diamonds and originally paired with a matching scabbard, forming part of a ceremonial ensemble worn by Saxon kings. Another piece, a diamond-studded epaulette, was believed to have been worn during significant royal events. Museums do more than preserve objects. They preserve memory, identity, and shared cultural narratives. When such unique artifacts are stolen, the damage is irreversible. Replicas may be made, and exhibitions may go on, but the originals carried with them the aura of authenticity that can never be recovered. Threat of destruction. What makes the theft even more distressing is the likelihood that the stolen jewels may never be seen again in their original form. Unlike paintings or sculptures, which are difficult to sell or alter without drawing attention, jewels can be broken apart, the stones recut, the metal melted down. Once disassembled, their historical identity is lost forever. Experts fear that the thieves may attempt to fence the stones on the black market or to private collectors with little regard for their provenance. In such cases, even if individual gems are recovered, their value as historical artifacts will have been destroyed, a call for global cultural protection. The Green Vault heist underscores the vulnerability of cultural heritage, even in the most advanced and protected environments. It also raises critical questions about how the world treats historical treasures. Are they merely commodities, or do they represent a deeper, shared legacy that must be preserved at all costs? As investigations continue, the hope remains that the stolen items will be recovered intact. Until then, the Green Vault, the heart of Saxon royal heritage, sits as a reminder of the fragility of history and the enduring importance of protecting it. Possible link to past theft investigators. Suspect connection between Dresden heist and 2017 Berlin coin robbery. When thieves struck Dresden's Green Vault Museum in November 2019, escaping with jewels valued at nearly £1 billion, German authorities immediately launched one of the country's largest art theft investigations. But even in the early stages, a chilling sense of déjà vu emerged. The method, precision, and apparent insider knowledge bore striking similarities to a high-profile theft that had occurred 2 years earlier in Berlin, prompting investigators to consider whether the same criminal network was behind both audacious crimes. The earlier heist took place at the Bode Museum in Berlin in March 2017. There, a rare and massive gold coin known as the Big Maple Leaf, weighing 100 kilograms and worth an estimated £3.5 million, was stolen. The coin, issued by the Royal Canadian Mint in 2007, was one of only a few of its kind. Its disappearance shocked the art and numismatic world, not only for its value but also for the way it was stolen. Similar patterns in execution. The Bode Museum robbery was executed with military-like efficiency. The thieves broke in during the early hours, using a ladder from nearby railway tracks to access a window. Once inside, they used a wheelbarrow and rope to transport the coin through the museum and out into a waiting getaway car. Despite its weight and size, the coin vanished within minutes. This pattern of rapid infiltration, targeted theft, and swift escape strongly resembles the Green Vault heist. In Dresden, 2 masked thieves used an axe to break into a side window, disabled lighting systems by sabotaging a nearby power source, and escaped in under 5 minutes with a carefully chosen selection of 18th-century jewels. Both heists were fast, precise, and left little evidence behind, suggesting an experienced and organized group, a notorious crime network. Soon after the Berlin robbery, suspicion turned toward members of the Remo clan, a well-known Berlin crime family with a history of involvement in high-profile thefts, drug trafficking, and money laundering. Several of its members were later arrested and charged in connection with the stolen gold coin. Authorities believe the coin was likely melted down and sold as raw gold, its historic value erased. Now, with the Dresden heist under investigation, German police are exploring the possibility that the same gang, or an affiliated network, may be behind both crimes. Some of the suspects arrested in relation to the Dresden theft have known connections to the Remo family. Surveillance footage, fingerprints, and intercepted communications have all played a role in linking the 2 cases, organized crime and cultural theft. These incidents underscore the increasing involvement of organized crime in the theft of cultural heritage. Unlike traditional art thieves who may steal for ransom or collectors, modern criminal syndicates often target historical items for their material value, melting down gold, extracting diamonds, and reselling gems on the black market. This destruction not only eliminates the chance of recovery, but also results in an irreversible loss of historical artifacts. Furthermore, both cases illustrate a deeper problem within museum security and criminal justice systems. While institutions may invest heavily in technology and guards, highly motivated and well-connected criminal groups continue to find and exploit weaknesses. The response time, lack of immediate backup, and predictable security patterns all contributed to the success of these heists. Continuing the search, German authorities have made several arrests in connection with the Dresden case, but much of the stolen treasure remains missing. As the investigation progresses, officials are working to dismantle the broader network behind these crimes, one that may span cities, borders, and criminal enterprises. Public appeals, international cooperation, and museum collaborations are now central to efforts to recover what was lost. The Dresden and Berlin heists serve as painful reminders that cultural heritage, no matter how well protected, is still vulnerable to the calculated ambitions of organized crime.